I am not going to lie to you all. I have been looking forward to this for a very long time. A few months ago, I began a campaign of sorts with Mr. Joya, asking repeatedly for him to allow me to speak at this breakfast. Mostly because I didn't tell my mom I was going to be speaking at this, and I really wanted to see the look on her face when he called my name and I came up here. I'd like to begin with a story. It's a Tuesday night earlier this month. I'm sitting at my desk, typing away at my computer and trying to keep up with my schedule as the year winds down. I'm working hard, or at least I think I am, when I hear a knock at my door. I open it up, and there stands my dear mother, holding a pile of laundry. "Here," she says, "you need to fold these clothes. Also, your room is pretty messy. I get to cleaning that." She walks behind me and sets the laundry on my unmade bed. As she prepares to exit my room, she stops for a second, stands behind me, and hits me on the side. Laughing to herself, she says, "Wow, Nolan, you're getting pretty soft. You know what? You should come work out with me at Pure Barre next week. We'll whip you into shape." And I say, "Mom, I can't touch my toes. I would literally die in there." And she says, No, you're coming." And then she walks out my door. At this point, I'm a little shocked. There I was, sitting quietly at my desk, and I just get hit with that onslaught. 1 minute I'm keeping to myself, the next thing I'm doing like 6 things wrong. So, as my mom leaves, my head's still spinning a little bit, and I call back to her, "Okay, way to keep it positive, Mom." And as she goes down my stairwell, I hear her answer back, "Just keeping you in line, Nolan. I call it like I see it." Now, to some of you, that might sound like quite the demoralizing encounter. But first off, she's right. I probably do need to go to the gym more often. And secondly, I wouldn't want our conversations to go any other way. For as long as I can remember, my mom has been my rock. She's my chauffeur, my support system, and my best friend. But she also keeps me humble. She's the first person to tell me to get out of bed in the morning, the loudest voice in the house when she's telling me to quit being a slug, and she always makes sure to scan my report cards, reading every teacher's comment line by line, and then quoting the more negative ones when I sit down for dinner. But I don't see her constructive criticism as mean-spirited or meant to bring me down, but rather, I know that she's just teaching me lessons. Because she knows that no matter what kind of grades I make, what colleges I get into, or how many friends that I have, I'm not above any other 17-year-old around me, and her effort to instill that mindset is something that I will always be grateful for. My mom is as welcoming as a person can be. I cannot count the amount of times a friend has walked through my front door expecting to briefly wave to one of my parents and then head upstairs. But instead, he or she is given a big hug, an offer of something to eat or drink, and a chair to sit in at our kitchen counter. From there, my mom holds court. It doesn't matter if she's just meeting you or if she's known you for years. You're going to be asked all sorts of questions while you're sitting at that counter. And if you're a senior, you're probably going to be asked about college. It's always interesting to me to watch these discussions. People are usually a little uncomfortable at first, but gradually they settle in, and by the time they leave my house, my mom is their new best friend. Being on the sidelines for these kitchen counter sit-downs for so many years has given me a whole new perspective on the person I spend a majority of my free time with. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, my mom is going to treat you like family when you come through my front door. It doesn't matter how tired she is, how many meals she's cooked that week, or how many miles she's driven to and from work that day. She always makes time for people. And I truly hope to one day come close to being as loving and as compassionate of a person as she is. In December of 2012, my grandfather passed away in a car accident. And it was during the months following his funeral that I learned how deeply and wholeheartedly my mom cares for my family. His death affected her greatly, as would the death of any parent upon a child. But my mom didn't let it show. We were all struggling with this new reality, and it was her job to put on a straight face to keep her head up and power through. She continued to work with my dad to make every day in our household as good as it could possibly be. She continued to shop for us, cook for us, work a part-time job to allow us to live in our home and go on nice vacations, all while dealing with the death of someone so near and dear to her. These months following his death demonstrated to me that my mom has an iron will, that she is the true example of someone who looks challenges in the face and says, "Bring it on." There's so many parts of her personality that I admire, and she is truly amazing. So, in closing, Mom, if it wasn't for you, I would be up here today in pants that are too short, a shirt that is not ironed, probably unshaven, my socks would not match, and I would have eaten a burger for my last 6 meals. You keep me upright on a daily basis, and college without you next year is going to be a wake-up call to say the least. Let's just hope I don't come home with an added Tulane 20, because I can only imagine all the weight jokes you'll make at my expense. You are the most unique, the most hardworking, and the most beautiful person that I have ever known, or probably will ever know. Thank you for everything. I love you.
Good morning, faculty, staff, sons, and mothers. I'm Dion Leamon Coofer. Yes, this is my complete name. The point of my telling you this official name isn't just to tell you my long and very uncommon name. If you can find somebody with the same name, I'll give you $1,000. And then I owe you. But I tell you this because, like my name, my mom is an original and uncommon. She's extraordinary, unbelievable, caring, loving, tireless, hardworking, and many more adjectives, because I can't list every single one that my mom is. She does not fit into a simple category, because goodness knows I've tried. No one can really predict what she will do before she does it. No one ever knows everything that she does in the day-to-day. Most people have their favorite superhero. I will admit that I'm a mama's boy, but also I'm a daddy's boy because of my mom, who has fulfilled both roles excellently. It's quite difficult to be one parent as it is. I've tried to figure out how she does everything, but just couldn't. It's unbelievable how my mom does everything. The only conclusion that I could come up with is that my mom is a superhero. I'm amazed to know that I am lucky enough to be the son of a superwoman. My cousin, who is like a big brother to me, and I sat down one night and tried to think of a list of everything that she does. But we couldn't finish the list because she does so many excellent things. Her base station, like any superhero would have, is at 113 Vine Lane in Glisserville, Tennessee. She has this special spot in the house in which she yields her power. This desk/table is of a brown color, sitting high in her kitchen. She's able to see through the garage into our front yard to watch the stove on which she is cooking, to stop me when I come home every night and talk to me and ask me, "How was your day?" Even when I'm tired, and especially then. And she multitasks all these tasks while sitting at this one spot. Of all the powers she possesses, She doesn't, however, possess the fantastic chef skill. Don't get me wrong, her food is really good, and when it isn't, she doesn't mind my telling her. This openness is one part of me and my mom's honest relationship that I value greatly. We have not always been on the same page, though. I remember when I was 12, she walked into my room and said, "Dion, you are coming to an age where you will hate my guts and won't want to talk to me." I was like, "Psh, you're kidding me. I would never." Then I stood up and gave her a long hug. Well, like so many things, she was right. My mom, like most moms, is 100% right 100% of the time. At least that's what she claimed. It was as if I took the opposition to her position so much just to be able for her not to be right one time. As you can imagine, I was not successful until probably last year or the year before. I was extremely giddy with joy, but soon noticed that my side was a side that was flawed. So at that point, she was still at 100% right 100% of the time. Her superpower of knowing what's right to do or to give good advice is remarkable and will be missed daily in the fall as I start to make my own mistakes in beginning my next phase of my life, for which the Superwoman has prepared me greatly. Her affection is abundant, completely selfless, and non-judgmental. She has shown me how to care for people, no matter what I've done, no matter what has happened to her, to me, or to us. And she knows that there's still a brighter day around the corner. And I know that she still loves me. And I've done some things where she shocked me because most people would have stopped talking to me. But this just made her hug me even more and even tighter. Sometimes I feel annoyed with all the affection, but then I think and I know I am so lucky to have her care for me so much. I love my mom for everything that she does. At times she was working 3 jobs, but I could never tell how tired she was. She still managed to do even more than before. She managed to take me wherever I needed to go, whether it be for school, sports, church, even to hang out with friends, and also to take me to spend time with both sides of my family, my mom's side and my late father's side. Both grandparents live about 30 minutes away from our house. She got me into the habit that I love to do at least once a week. I call both grandparents to check on them or see if they need anything. My mom stressed to me at an early age the importance of relationships and that they are very important. To conclude, I can't wait to begin college in the fall, but I will truly miss my Superwoman, my mom, Lashina Marnier Jones Coofer. I can't wait to start the next phase of my life, to make my mother proud of not the job well done, but the life well done. Thank you for everything. Love you, Mom. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Nolan and Dion. And please join me in welcoming the NBA Jazz Band.
was hard keeping this a secret from my mom for 3 weeks. Surprise. Miss Catherine Bennett, where do I begin? For a little over 18 years now, you've been the most influential person in my life. I have to admit that out of all the papers and speeches I've written in my MBA career, this has been both the easiest and the hardest. It's easy to talk about someone you've lived with for 18 years, because you never run out of stories or funny jokes to tell. But it's hard in the sense that our relationship will soon change forever when we start college. But for now, I want to focus on the present and how privileged I am to be your son. It's easy to look back and see how far I've come because of you. For those of you who don't know, I entered 7th grade knowing exactly one person in the MBA community. That was my brother, who was a freshman in high school. So for a while, I struggled to settle into my new community and my new environment. I went to school, came home, did homework, and went to bed. And that was my routine for large part of 7th grade, including weekends. But looking back at it, I admire the fact that you sent me here because you knew it would make me a better man, even if it was painfully uncomfortable at first. I've built relationships, uncovered passions, learned what I'm good at, and what I'm absolutely terrible at, which is a lot. I owe every memory I've made here to you and your will to better me. For that, I'm humbled and appreciative. We've shared a lot of memories here on the hill, and I've even watched you tear up at other kids' speeches at this breakfast. We've always sat down in the corners of the gym and admired the speeches as you try to choke back tears. I don't enjoy watching my mother cry, and honestly it makes me uncomfortable. It puts me in the position as to whether I should say something or just let it slide. But don't worry, I made sure to bring extra tissues for you. One of the things I admire most about you is your ability to recognize potential in me before I even know it's there. From an early age, you taught me how to love the English language and the ability to express yourself through words. Last summer, I received an English Wilson grant and went to study creative writing at California, Berkeley for a few weeks. I remember how excited I was to be going across the country to get a taste of the college of life, alone, with no parents, no supervision, and no one to scold me for blowing $57.78 in the Las Vegas airport. Sorry. I must have forgotten to tell you. And yes, I kept track of every penny. Anyway, I came home from school one day and your smile was wider than usual. I can still remember you saying, "Guess what? I found out about a business trip in San Francisco this summer and it overlaps your Wilson grant." Isn't that great? We're gonna get to spend some time together. Wait, really? Yeah, I'm serious. Isn't that great news? Believe it or not, it didn't take me long to start missing home. I miss being in a comfortable environment with the rest of my family, my pets, and yes, my mom. It was weird not being able to stay up watching Dancing with the Stars, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, or The Big Bang Theory late night with you. But on one of the last few days, our group took a trip to the heart of San Francisco. And I remember calling you to see if you had any free time. Despite a number of meetings and deadlines, you found a way to get through the heart of San Francisco traffic and meet me at one of the piers. I know it probably seemed like any other day to you, but to me, I'll remember that forever because of the sacrifice you made to come see me, even if it was just for a few hours. It didn't take me long to start feeling at home again as we walked alongside the bay and caught up on the eventful week. And isn't that what's beautiful about the mother figure in our lives? It doesn't matter when, where, or how. Your mother's presence will always be comforting. I think one of the most beautiful things about a mother is her ability to love unconditionally. I know you'll always be beside me offering guidance and support no matter what decisions I make or how badly I mess up. And trust me, I've made my fair share of mistakes. You loved me when I spilled a red slushie on our white carpet when I was little. You left me when I got a 5 on a science quiz. I spelled my name right. You even left me when I shoved an absurd amount of fireworks down the sewer pipe along with a burning roll of paper towels to start the blaze. Long story short, I can't describe how comforting it is to know that I have endless support, so thank you. Before I finish, I want to encourage everyone to turn to your mom and tell her you love her, whether it's your aunt, grandma, or sister, whoever that female figure is in your life that got you to where you are today. Pretty soon we'll be sent off into the real world to make something of ourselves, and we won't always have her beside us to guide us through life's everyday challenges. As you like to say, the baby bird leaves the nest eventually. Because of you, I'll be leaving the nest as a better person, ready to pursue my passions and take on the world because of what you've taught me. I know I don't say it enough, but I love you from the bottom of my heart, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. Thank you.
Yeah. There's no better way to start a speech about my mother than to tell a story that in my mind truly defines the kind of person she is. My mom, grandma, and grandpa were all having dinner at the old Houston's restaurant on West End when an older man walked by and with great excitement said, "Tracy, it's so good to see you." My mother, being Tracy, immediately gets up, hugs him, and said, "George, it is so great to see you." She introduces George to her parents and then asks how his family is doing, and they talk for almost 10 minutes. After my mom and George finish their conversation, she sits down and my grandma asks, "Tracy, who was that?" My mother's simple answer, "Oh, George is the greeter at Office Depot." This story, of course, begs the question of whether there is a person in West Nashville my mom does not know. From what I have seen, the answer is no, there is not. But the number of people she knows and those who know her is not based on her job or some accomplishment on her part. Instead, her circle of friends is based on the meaningful connections that she makes with people. And that approach to life is what makes her such an incredible person. Now, let's turn to her relationship with me. My mom grew up with 3 sisters, and my 2 older siblings are both girls. So dealing with a man-child was not something she was used to. This scenario caused me to have some very interesting clothes as an infant, which, along with my long curly hair, might explain why in my earliest days people would look at me and say, "Oh, what a beautiful little girl." This special care also sparked some interesting nicknames from my mom, including Kev Kev and a personal favorite, Bunny, which she finally gave up in 8th grade. Still, as I grew up, my mom always supported me in whatever activity I was involved. She would cheer like crazy regardless of whether she understood the game. In fact, she may be the only person in history to have openly cheered at a shot put event. She even went to my WNSL soccer games, which shows her true love considering I was not the most agile player on the field. For those of you who have had the opportunity to get to know my mother, I thought there may be a few questions you have about her. For example, is she always happy and enthusiastic? The short answer is yes. I've never seen anyone with more energy than my mom has, a fact which of course explains my peppy demeanor. This has made for some very interesting mornings of walking into the kitchen and seeing her dancing to "You're So Vain" by Carly Simon. But you should not let mom's peppy personality make you think she's not competitive. Whether it is a board game, spades, tennis, swimming, or whatever, mom plays to win. Another question I've heard is just how many thank you notes does your mother write in a given year? My estimate would be in the thousands. She has even been known to write a thank you note to thank someone for a thank you gift that was sent to her. For those of you who received one of her notes, you should know that writing a note to thank someone is, I believe, one of her favorite tasks. She is genuinely appreciative, and she throws her heart into those notes. As with all mothers, my mom somehow knows when I'm trying to chill. I don't know how she knows that I'm actually relaxing, but it is like an alarm goes off in her head. I think this sixth sense is where she came up for her motto for one summer. Every morning I was supposed to start the day asking, "What can I do to help you today?" I cannot remember a single time this question was answered with, "You know, the house is pretty clean, so you can just relax." She also had a slogan as I was growing up, and it was very simple: "Your mother is always right." While I hate to admit it in front of her and all of her friends, to a large extent this is true. My best example of mom being right comes from my 7th grade year. I did not want to attend MBA at first, and never even thought it would be considered as a school for me until my mother told me I would be applying there. I was extremely unhappy about that decision and believed it to be a bad one. This disagreement caused a lot of arguments in my house, but she never budged on that idea. Or, for that matter, any other idea she has ever had. And I ended up coming here for school. At the time, I thought I would leave after 8th grade, and attending Montgomery Bell would just be a bad memory. But, as with every other disagreement we have had, my mom made the right decision for me, because here I am standing in front of you as a proud senior at MBA. I now look back knowing that attending MBA was one of the best things that could have happened to me, and I have my mom to thank for that decision. Even when I was having a hard time academically at MBA, she stood beside me, supported me, encouraged me, and did not stop pushing until I had my academics on the right track. Mom always pushes me to go beyond my comfort zone and to experience new things. There's never a day where she does not have a smile on her face, and never a time where she puts herself before my sisters and me. She taught me what it means to be a friend to someone and how to treat other people. Most importantly, she taught me how to believe in myself. I love you, Mom.
Thank you, Mr. Joy. And I apologize to everyone that you have to listen to my speech after Mr. Jameson's amazing speech. And a matter of fact, I have never been to Olympic before. I'm sorry. The United States is an amazing place. I express that belief because before I came here, I had one mom, and now I have 5. Yesterday when we had dinner, I got a table of moms sitting with me. So one of them gave me a home in China, and 4 of them give me homes here. My first mom, who is also my biological mom, is called Mom Wang. She's a tough lady. She ran track when she was young, and she was the #1 star in my city. Whenever she ran a race, hundreds of people would cheer and applaud her. When Mom Wang was 26, she got an intelligent, lovely, handsome son, who was not me, but my older brother. 11 years later, she was pregnant again. Yes, it was I this time. However, the 1990s was the worst time to have a second child in China because of the notorious one-child policy. For many reasons, I was sentenced to death by abortion. Mom Wang thought she was ready, so she went to a hospital. She lay in the bed waiting for the doctor. But at the instant the doctor opened the door, she jumped out of the bed and started running. 9 months later, I was born. One time I asked her what she was thinking on her way running back home. Why did she regret? She said, that was the last race she ran in the past 20 years. It was, she believed, the best. And she said, even if there were no cheering and applause for her, she knew she was running back with her trophy. I was lucky because I got a mom who saved me from death. But my luck did not end there. When I was 16, I received the opportunity to come to MBA. I had to leave my whole family. Without Mom Wang, I thought everything would be tough. But again, I was a lucky kid. I got a new mom here, Mom Ellen. When I arrived to the United States, I was like a newborn child knowing nothing. To help me adapt to this new environment, Mom Ellen took me shopping. I remember we bought polo shirts together so I could dress like other boys here, and the coat I'm wearing now was given by Mom Ellen as well. Then she took me to the grocery store and asked me to point out what I love to eat. Then she told me to go to the swimming pool to relax before school started. So Mom Ellen asked me if I had shorts for the swimming pool. I said yes. However, at that point, I had not discovered the difference between Speedos and shorts. So I thought she asked me whether I had Speedos for the pool. Then I became the first boy who showed up to a public swimming pool with Speedos. Fortunately, Mom Ellen found that out one day before we went to the Ocoee trip. Who knows what else I would have done without her. She saved me from embarrassing myself in front of all the freshmen. In my second year, I was given another mom, Mom Garrett. And this is a funny year. She did not need to teach me much about how not to embarrass myself because Mom Ellen has done a great job. However, Mom Garrett taught me 3 things that I will never forget in my life. First, she taught me about the Bible. My favorite line she taught me is from Psalm 141, column 3. Set a guard over my mouth, Lord, keep watch over the door of my lips. At the beginning, I did not understand what this verse meant, and I asked her. She said, Troy, listen, it's easy. It means shut up. So I use that line every time when I talk too much or when I eat too much. And the second thing is a set of questions. She told me if I were ever injured in wrestling, she would ask me 3 questions. 1, what's your name? 2, where do you live? 3, how old am I? Just so you know, the answer for the last question must be between 20 and 29. If I said, Mom Garrett, you are 31 this year, that means I got a concussion. The last thing I will never forget was not taught by Mom Garrett, but I discovered this truth by myself, and I believe Miss Coofer and Miss Frazier loved this too. And I call this the 2 rules of the Garrett's house. Rule number 1, Mom Garrett is always right. Rule number 2, when you think she's wrong, please see rule number 1. One time I was debating with Mr. Garrett, who was one of the best lawyers in Nashville, and you can imagine how that went to me. I was very good at picking my battles. And I ran out of words, really. It was really tough debating with Mr. Garrett. And then Mom Garrett just walked by, and I asked Mom Garrett, do you think I was right? And Mom Garrett had no idea. She was just being nice, said, yes, you are right. And I told Miss Garrett, you see, she said I was right. So I'm right. And Mr. Garrett had to say, yes, you win this battle. And that's probably the only way for me to win a lawyer. Remembering my Bible lines and the 2 Garrett's rules, I moved to Mom Scholar's house. Mom Scholar, whom I also called South Africa, is a very neat and organized mom. While there are 2 rules at the Garrett's house, there is 1 tradition at the Scholar's house. Mom Scholar will always cook for us, no matter if she was at home or she needs to be gone. Every Sunday, she also has Mom Scholar's Sunday dinner, a meal that gets us ready for the coming week. In my memory, she never missed any Sunday. Because she is a brilliant cook and very organized, we do not waste any food. Mom South Africa always presents us with the perfect kinds of healthy foods with just the perfect amount. And at the beginning of this year, 2016, I met my last mom here, Mom Bailey. She is such an energetic mom. And if you know me personally for a while, you would probably say that, using the teenager's language, I'm a very salty person who has no chill and freaks out all the time. But Mom Bailey is one of the individuals who can calm me down. I remember after I took my last ACT, I was really frustrated because I didn't think I reached where I was supposed to be. But on the other hand, Mom Bailey was waiting for me in the parking lot with a huge smile, and as soon as I saw her, she said, "Yes, you are done! You must be so tired of reading. Let's go shopping. I'll buy you something." And then we went shopping. She has always been such an incredible mom. Everything around me became positive because of her. Even when she complains about something, I feel so motivated. Oh my God, it's so exciting. She is complaining about something. Again, I am a lucky kid because I have 5 moms. And I believe most of the gentlemen sitting right here should be as blessed as I am. Not because we all have 5 moms, but because there is a lady who is willing to suffer severe pain just to give us a chance to see this world. There's a lady who tries to prepare us as much possible to the world and saves us from as many embarrassing situations as possible. There's a lady who teaches us to read, to believe, and to shut up. There's a lady who prepares dinner for us when we are hungry. There's a lady who cheers us up when we feel down. And there is a lady who eventually will let us go when we need to go. Although they are so different, all moms love us in a very unique way, but they have the same name, Mom, and they have done way more than what I just mentioned. 19 years ago, Mom Wang ran a race to save my life, but she did not receive any applause. Now I want to ask everyone a favor. Please give all our moms a round of applause and a hug. They deserve this love for what they have done and what they will do for us. Thank you very much.
Before I get started, I remember a few weeks ago, Troy's the soccer manager, and I noticed that Mr. Joy sent us out an email and said that we were all speaking at the mother-son breakfast, and I asked Troy, is your mom coming in from China? And he was like, yes, I'm speaking about her, but I'm also speaking about my other 4 moms. And I thought, boy, I hope I don't have to follow that. But here I am. Anyway, I remember coming to the gym, 7th grade, quickly grabbing my breakfast and preparing myself to sit through a boring 2-hour mother-son breakfast on the bleachers in the back right side of the room. Little did I know that this would become something my mom and I looked forward to as one of our favorite traditions while I was at MBA. There are 3 main reasons why I'm up here today, speaking today. 1, I love my mom, and I have to brag on her about how she is the best because she doesn't hear it anywhere near enough. 2, my mom is the pediatric neuro-oncology case manager at Vanderbilt. And for people like me who don't know what that means, she deals with brain and spine cancer in children. And sadly, about 30% of my mom's patients die. I don't know how my mom does what she does, but I'm glad there is someone in this world that is tough enough as her to do the job. My mom has had tragedies that I cannot even imagine in her life, yet she is one of the strongest people I've ever met. That all being said, I feel like I can count on my hands how many times I've seen her cry in my life. And she's doing it right now. And actually, most of the times have been at this breakfast. She's cried, I think, 3 times today already. But she's 5 for 5 at crying at these breakfasts, or maybe 7 or 8 for 5, considering the amount of time she has cried. And maybe I'm just up here to make sure that 5 for 5 turns to a 6 out of 6. 3, when we went on our first mother-son breakfast, when I was in 7th grade, my mom leaned over to me jokingly saying, "You're gonna do this when you're a senior, right?" And I said jokingly, "Of course, Mom." Let me just tell y'all, if you're not prepared to do that, don't say that you will. Anyway, through the years, it became less and less of a joke and more of a threat. My mom would hint towards me and our family friends, saying, "Oh, I can't wait till Zach is a senior. Did you know he's going to speak about me in front of the entire school?" And then she would laugh, pretending it's a joke, even though it was not a joke. She was reminding me not to let her down in front of the neighbors who now know, or my grandmother, or whoever else she has told, because I am speaking about my mom senior year in front of the entire school. But I thought to myself, two can play at that game, right? So my mom would say something along the lines of clean up her room, and I would try to be all smooth and be like, well, it'd be a shame if I forgot to speak about you senior year, or my speech said something bad, or anything like that, about how you always nag me. And she would reply and say, go ahead, half the crowd are moms, and they will applaud the mention of nagging. So it's safe to say that didn't work. Anyway, not only had my mom predetermined that I was speaking here long ago, she had started planning out my speech. I remember sitting freshman year at this breakfast, and a senior came up to speak, and about his mom, and my mom leans over to me and says, when you're up there to speak about me, you're going to say, your mommy never missed a single game you were in. So while I was writing the speech, I decided to do a little calculation just to see how many sporting events my mom had been to of mine. I estimated that with the normal 8 games per season during the recreational seasons when I was little, and how the schedule expanded since I've gotten older, it's about 550 games. Out of all those games, Mom, I think it's been about 3 that you've missed. That's it. There are 3 out of 550. And let me explain to you all how dedicated my mom is about this claim that she would make. I wrestled in 9th grade, and I know there's some moms out there with wrestlers who are sons who are wrestlers, and that was my mom's least favorite sport. But she wouldn't miss a match that I was in. I remember one tournament in 9th grade where my mom walks over to me and says, I can't handle watching any more of this. I'll be outside my car reading, and you just text me when you were up. So a few minutes before my match, I would text my mom, and she'd come in, watch me, and then once I was done, go back out to the car and read a book until I was up again. Even more so than watching a sport she didn't like that I was in, she would come to games where I would sit on the bench the entire time. This year, I was fortunate enough to become the starting goalkeeper for NBA's soccer team, but that was my first start for the varsity team. And I've been on varsity for 3 years. So sophomore and junior year, my mom wouldn't miss a game where I would sit on the bench the entire time. Furthermore, freshman year, football, I was the manager, and I don't think my mom understood the manager does not go in. I don't have pads on, yet she would come watch me give water to the football players. She didn't miss a game. And now after all that, you're probably wondering, how did my mom miss a game? She had to be sick, of course, right? Or there was some other emergency or something along those lines. Nope. My mom has missed, I believe, 2 or 3 Tennessee Titans games since 1998 when they came to Nashville. And the games that she would not miss, that she missed of mine, were to make sure that she was at those Tennessee Titans games. So she's pretty dedicated to them as well. Mom, I don't know what I'm going to do next fall when I'm playing pickup basketball game with my friends or soccer or whatever sport it is, and I'm not looking up and seeing you in the bleachers. College will be a tough transition without you. I know my dorm room will be sad your nagging isn't there to save it from all the trash, and to tell you the truth, I'll be a little sad not to hear it in Knoxville as well. So Mom, you get your wish. I'm going to stand up here and say it. My mom has never missed a single one of my sporting events, except when the Tennessee Titans are playing. I love you, Mom.